So the closing words will be given by Jorge Mogrovejo and Waldo Tapia. First of all, we wish to invite Jorge Mogrovejo. He's the Superintendency of Banks and Insurance in AFP Peru. He's also the first vice president of AIOS. He's from the Superintendency of Banks and Insurance for more than 20 years. He was the president of the Deposit Fund between 2014 and 2016. He worked 2 years, 2012 and 2013, in VIS, in the Financial Stability Institute of Basel, Switzerland, and he's a director of the he has a degree in economy in Peru. He has a master in economic policies in Colombia and New York. I will give Jorge the floor now. Okay, we have reached the final stage of our meeting for today, and we have seen, we have touched on many topics. If we had to highlight some issues, we would talk about the challenge of designing products that are attractive and can comply with policies, public policies. That is for the regulators. It's important that in the pension fund world and in private pension funds, I come from the banking system, it's easier to compare a banking system with another banking system than different pension funds because they are so different. The private and public sector interacts in very different ways, and so challenges are very difficult when we want to share experiences. For example, we have seen examples of products that can fulfill better the needs of pension funds, also longevity risks, longevity insurance, sovereign bonds, and concepts that have been repeated, like flexibility, simplicity, liquidity. I remember the law of pensions in Peru. It was very rigid at first. I was talking about this with the superintendency. It seemed to be an operations manual because it had so much detail and it was so strict as to how to operate. So I think that now we are rethinking everything when we are adding all of these elements, that it has to be easily understood and it has to be simple. I am very surprised by what the last speaker said about the lack of financial understanding that people have. Because if people don't understand basic concepts, we won't be able to do what we want to do, like in Peru. Because if people don't understand what we're doing, we will have a different effect. We saw some cases like Nest or the Savings Lab or Cabify. We were seeing people's faces very surprised. They were saying how we can give liquidity and make it attractive and at the same time have people save money. The use of defaults. We have a lot of challenges when we rethink the pension systems. In general, the regulatory paradigms, I think, require a strong revision. We've talked about mutualization, sharing risks, risk sharing. In Peru, we talk about the FP doesn't lose, but the affiliate does. Yes, we say if it's a bank, everybody loses, the depositor and the bank. But sometimes it's the way we give the message. We have to show them the reasons why things are done like that. And if we can have small changes in the regulations to show that we are all involved in the benefits and also in the possible losses. Another interesting thing about today was to see that the context has changed. When we had the first laws of private pension funds in Chile, we didn't know anything about interbanking. So we have regulatory frameworks that were designed for a different age, for different jobs. Now we're seeing people who are working part-time or temporary workers. So it's not that those people won't become old. Of course they'll become old, but they're not saving. So how can we get them involved, so many people involved in saving, because they understand jobs in a different way. We want youth also to value stability. I remember my generation, when we got our first job, we said, okay, we're ready. We can get married. I'm going to get a mortgage. But not now, not anymore. People don't think like that anymore. Young people just take their first job knowing that they're going to change jobs once and again. So how can we make these people save money for their retirement? And of course, IDB has highlighted that the demographical changes are essential. If I know that we are going to become old, but we can't understand how fast this is happening. Things are happening so fast today. Sometimes being a pension regulator is like being a scientist of climate change 30 years ago, when we were saying, hey, carbon is going up and different things are happening.
Corto. Entonces, yo creo que también tenemos un rol.
Here we have also an important role to impact public policies in the lawmakers, in the public opinion. Part of the problems that we've had in Peru is that we had journalists, people who were writing against the saving for retirement. Well, people were reading those articles. They didn't want to save money. Also, people in the government who were just thinking about re-election, and they weren't giving the good advice. We're seeing problems of climate change today with like flooded cities. What's going to happen when we have so many people who used to have funds, but only for 50 years? So there we have the discussion of the state won't be able to cover this, so families will collapse. So we have the obligation to transmit, to say this, to tell the policymakers about this. Another important thing that happened today is to see the need that people understand what's happening. It has to be simple. It has to be easy to explain so that we can make people understand what's happening. And also, I want to say we had a wonderful day. And thank you very much to all the speakers and to the audience. Waldo Tapia will close the day. He's from the IDB. Since 2008, he has developed several projects in pension funds like Belize, Chile, Honduras, Panama, Paraguay, and Uruguay. He has participated in different forums on best practices for pensions. Before he joined the IDB, he worked in the private pension fund in OECD Paris. He was also a professor at the Catholic University of Chile in the School of Economy. He has a master in public policies from the KDA School of Public Policy and Management in Seoul, Korea, and a master's degree in economic theory and econometrics from the School of Economics of Toulouse, France. Waldo Tapia. Good afternoon. First of all, I wish to congratulate the organizers for this great event. The organization and coordination of all the speakers. I will be brief because many of the topics have already been mentioned by Jorge, and I will try to talk about some topics regarding what the IDB is doing in this area. Why is the payout phase important? I think this was highlighted in all the presentations when we talk about demographics, that we're going to have a very aging population in the region, one of the most aging populations in the world, and this is accelerating in the years. Is the region prepared to face these challenges? Well, that's a question mark. For example, except Chile, we don't have a market with the institutional part of this is key. When we talk about databases or sources of information, we also have risks with regards to payout phase. We have a discussion in Costa Rica right now about moving forward along the lines of what Peru did in 1995. We also know that when people reach old age, a lot of the population is not participating in the pension system. And this big amount of people of reaching old age and not having a pension, and that brings about problems of all kinds. We have 4 lessons learned here. Some of the topics have already been mentioned today. First of all, not everything is bad news. In the region, we are seeing some best practices on the design of annuities. Today we have S-Comp in Chile and index bonds on average salary growth in Uruguay. We have seen the rise of innovative products in the world that offer feasible solutions. And based with low hedging, we need to find innovative solutions. When we talk about innovative solutions, it's not only about those that adapt to the needs of people that make contributions, but are also scalable in time. And when we think of a reform in the payout phase, we have to also consider the accumulation stage, where the design of investment regimes with objectives of investment must go in this direction. So what are we doing as a bank? We have 3 axes here. The first action is the red plaque, which is technical support and operations. We are also working on the savings lab for retirement and also on understanding or knowledge. Red plaque, what we are trying to achieve is this started in 2015. We were trying to improve the institutional capacity, in particular through the support of regulatory areas and supervision. We're also talking about sustainability, equality, and efficiency. We want to foster, through forums, the exchange of experiences among countries, and we also want to support the reform processes. We have worked in Chile, Colombia, El Salvador, Honduras, Jamaica, Paraguay, Peru, and now we will be working in Brazil. We also exchange good practices. And we have also been started on good practices some years ago. We have published this last year. When we talk about supervision, we're going to publish our second series of good practices now. Our second axis, which is the lab of savings for retirement, we are leading the creation of innovative solutions to promote voluntary savings. In all our publications, we have been working since 2013, when we talked about better pensions, better jobs. Then we had a different document in 2015 called Social Insurance, Informality, and Labor Markets. In 2016, we published Saving for Development. And 2018, we published a book on present and future of pensions. 2018, the bank also published Better Spending for Better Lives, and 2018 also Best Practices, Pension Supervision. All of these publications are available on our website, and these 3 axes allow us to support these reform systems. Thank you.